I was just going to say, with the recent move by the U.S. to ban the export of chip manufacturing or any technological export to China right now seems to be forcing their hand, which would kind of play into your thesis that the timeline for a Taiwan invasion is more accelerated than most of us might care to consider.
Yes, 100%. Again, the more we encircle and put pressure on them, this is an existential threat as they see it. There's a lot of other things wrapped up in this, as we talked about. Obviously, Chiang Kai-shek. This is still an ongoing civil war as far as they're concerned. So yes, absolutely. I think this is inevitable. I'm not the first person to say this. Now, Ferguson predicted November of this year, about a year and a half ago, before anybody was talking about this. I mean, we've been out there talking about it for about a year, but he was way out in front of this. And here we go, right? We're hearing it from, Blinken, the head of the Navy, that timeline is much closer than people probably realize. So I think that makes sense. Again, just going based on incentives here, right? It's not like I know any more than anybody else, right? But the incentives tend to lead to the outcomes. That's generally the best route for prediction.
The game theory of it all.
The game theory, yeah.
Absolutely. So, and at the very least, on a probability basis, right? The probabilities that are priced into the market relative to, I don't think we have to dive into how bad a thing that would be, right? I think it's easy to underestimate how big a deal that is if China and the U.S. go to war. Russia is child's play, and we're talking about the bifurcation of the number one and number two economies in the world, the number one consumer and the number one producer in the world. You think we have inflation now,
right?
You ain't seen nothing yet. And the probabilities of that are 1 in 3 in the next year and a half, which is what I think at a minimum it is at this point. Markets are, talk about potential energy and going back to the flows and everything we were talking about before, and how low skew is and how little hedging is working. Well, the window there for something bigger is that could definitely be the spark that drives it.